NASCAR Coast to Coast coming at you on this Thursday, September the 18th. And as the seasons wind down, so too are some championships coming up. We're going to take a look back at the week that was in short track racing. And speaking of champions, our special guest this week, newly crowned 2025 ARCA Series East titleist Isaac Kitzmiller, stops by the show to discuss his season and a whole lot more as the rookie grabs his first national championship in stock car racing. Plus, a big name joins the Mod Squad this weekend out in New Hampshire, and a whole lot more as the seasons begin to wind down. That's all coming up next here on NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN, and it starts right now. Welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast. I'm your host, Chris Wilmer of the Motor Racing Network, and joining us here as we kick off this week's episode is our newly crowned 2025 ARCA Series East champion, Isaac Kitzmiller. Isaac, congratulations, 16 years of age, and you're an ARCA champion. What are the emotions after leaving Bristol, knowing that you locked it up and have that big trophy to bring home?
Yeah, it was super amazing. The whole moment was really, really cool. Getting to share the moment with my whole family, and especially this race team. They've worked so hard every night, every day, in the shop all day. They all work hard and they all have faith in me, and that's really what takes it. That's what it takes to win a championship. And I'm so thankful for everybody that's got me to this place.
Capture that championship with CR7 Motorsports ACR Racing as well. So, what does an ARCA Series East title mean to you? I mean, again, 16 years of age, you're just getting started, but you're now among some of the greats that have walked away with the championship. So, what does this personally mean for you in your career?
Yeah, it means a lot. Really, all the hard work I've ever put into my racing career. I just moved down to North Carolina at the beginning of the year, and I've really found out what it takes to be a successful race car driver. And I put in a lot of work to get to this moment, and it just means a lot to me, especially just how hard I've had to work and all the training I've had to do and everything, and it means a lot to everybody else on the team. I'm glad I got to show for all the hard work I've put in, and especially this team.
Going into this weekend, it was a head-to-head battle with you and Tyler. Walk me through what the nerves were like when you guys unloaded, and at what point, in the race on Thursday, we were like, okay, I think we have this in the bag. I can't imagine you were thinking about it too much, but what were the nerves like going into the weekend?
Yeah, I was obviously nervous. It being my first time at Bristol, which is a super fast place. The lap cars are quite off the pace there. And I know things can happen super quickly, just like they happened to Connor Zilich last year. And my emotions going into the weekend was just finish the race. All I needed to do was finish top 13, and our car was more than capable of doing that this week. It was a really good car. I wish I could have showed for a little bit more, but I kind of was on the conservative side, just trying not to put myself in a bad situation. But yeah, me and Tyler, we've raced each other for 2 years now, and we've never even wrecked with each other. So we've raced really clean side by side for lots of laps. But my emotions were really high going into the weekend, and it was once I got in the race car for the race, it kind of all mellowed out, and I knew that I could do it. And the biggest worry, like every time, was the restarts, just getting jumbled up and caught up in someone else's mess. But luckily we didn't, and we were able to come home with the title.
You end the season three top fives, eight top tens. How would you describe your rookie season? Obviously, you captured the championship, so it's pretty good. But the learning process on the way, like when you take us back to your first race at Five Flags and what you kind of expected there to now what you've learned post Bristol.
Yeah, honestly, at the beginning of the year in Five Flags, I was not thinking I was going to be in the position I was sitting in going into Bristol, to be honest with you. This year was just about learning and finishing every single lap of the race. That was the biggest thing, was making laps and turning laps in the ARCA car, the big car, and the NASCAR tracks, really. And looking at it now, I was super amazed at, because I really was not thinking that I would be the champion or in a position to fight for the title. I knew Tyler was going to be tough to beat coming into the year. He had a lot of experience in the ARCA car, and he has a few ARCA wins. So it's super awesome to get to be in the position to do it, really.
Is it kind of, I don't want to say frustrating, but you're a champion, but there's still that zero in the win column where you almost like, dang it, I needed to walk away with a win, or kind of how do you put that in perspective? Like you're a champion, but there's still that win that you want to get in the win column.
Yeah, obviously, I want to get my first win in the ARCA series. It would be super cool. But I feel like this year I had a few, maybe a car or two to win a race. I just didn't put myself in the right position. I didn't qualify as good as I needed to this year. I struggled in qualifying, and then the restarts. I set myself back on a lot of the restarts this year. That's the big thing I need to work on for the next year, and especially qualifying as well, so I don't have to work as hard to get up to the front to be able to run with the 18 and the 28.
So you're also a graduate of the NX Legends car. So I can't imagine the adjustment, right? Going from there, doing some late models, and of course, hopping in a full body stock car in the ARCA Menard Series East platform. What was the biggest adjustment you had to make? If you look back at Five Flags in your first race all the way through now, that you've had to adjust to these ARCA cars, what are some of the things you had to work on?
The biggest thing is the weight difference of the cars. They're so much heavier, a lot of horsepower, but the wheel spin ratio is not near as much as the legend car is. But the biggest thing I've had to adjust on, obviously, I had to slow my feet down in the race car to not throw the weight all the way over my shoulders, getting into the corner, and then the locker as well. These ARCA cars have lockers in the rear end, and when you're in the throttle, it locks the rear end in, and when you're out of it, it unlocks it. And the legend car just it does not have that. So that was a really big thing I had to learn with and work on as well.
I think the coolest thing too, part of this season, not only is your championship, but you got to do it alongside your dad, Jason. I know he's been racing part time as well, but he's been by your side this entire journey. What did it mean to be, teammates with him on some races, and then be there and share in that moment with him at Bristol?
It was super awesome to get to share with him. A lot of people don't get to race with their dad or even
Yeah.
share the championship with him, that was super cool. A lot of people really want to do that with their parents, and they don't get the chance to. But it was super cool to be able to share that with my dad and really my whole family. We had
I was gonna say, how competitive are you and dad when you're at the racetrack? Like, at what point is he not dad? He's just my teammate.
we're not a whole lot competitive. We more so try to help each other and push each other and give each other tips and everything. It was super cool. Also get to race him. Me and him never really bet against each other, but I heard there was a few bets between us.
All right. Well, interesting. I'm glad you guys kept it pretty civil though out there on the racetrack. Also, too, being a part of this team, I know Grant Enfinger's been an influence in certain terms of helping you out as well as, obviously he runs in the full time of the Truck Series team. What has his impact been on you? What's it been like kind of leaning on him for advice? I know Grant's kind of hopped in and out of some of the ARCA cars in the past, but kind of what has he taught you over the course of the season?
Yeah, he's taught me a lot, especially about the aero side of the bigger tracks. He's helped me out with a lot, side drafting and getting my nose out to not get so tight in the corner. He's helped me out a lot. I just can't thank him enough. He's also helped me with the restart side of things, and he really helped me going into Bristol, what my mindset needed to be, and just to finish the race. I don't have to go out there and look like a hero because it can become zero really quickly.
I think it was also cool that you left Bristol and you immediately went to another race. You didn't take time off. There was no vacation. You went right down to South Boston to race with the Cars Tour. Why is that important to you to just keep on digging and not kind of, we'll take a break when it comes to November, December?
Yeah, right now you got to get, especially the age I am, and I didn't start racing like a lot of kids did. I started 5 years ago, which is really late in the
Yeah.
racing industry. But right now I just need to get as many laps as I can, especially in the short track side, especially learn hard racing and get my racecraft better. So then when I move up to the ARCA series full time or when I make more starts, I'll be more prepared.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point. Starting 5 years ago, did you ever feel like you're behind, or did you just feel like your learning curve, although steeper, you're matching where you need to be? Like, I can't imagine how frustrating it's been when you got guys that started at 3 or 4 years old in quarter midgets or dirt junior sprints, and you're just starting 5 years ago. So, what has it ever been frustrating being like, I feel like I'm behind, or do you feel like you've kind of been on your own trajectory and you've kind of been happy with your progression?
Yeah, obviously I've been frustrated at times, especially in the legend car. It will humble you really quickly. And so with the late model stock side the other weekend, I struggled in that, but it will definitely humbled me for sure. And I just had to have the mindset that I had to work harder than anybody else on the track to keep my learning curve going and get the racecraft that these other kids have.
Well, you let your racing do all the talking because now you get to walk away as a champion in the ARCA Menard Series in the East title. All right, so you've got that checked off your list. What's next for Isaac Kitzmiller, either the rest of this year or I'm sure planning has already begun for 2026? What would you like to do if you don't already have stuff planned out yet?
I don't have anything planned out yet for 2026. Obviously, I'd like to make a few more starts in the ARCA Menard series, and the all these tracks that they go to are super cool. I'd really like to get to a road course. I've ran a lot of legend car road course stuff, and I really have a passion for the road course stuff. I really like it. But continue the rest of the year. I have the Pro Late model. I'm finishing it out in the Cars Tour, and then I'll run the Snowflake later this year at Five Flags.
Sounds like a plan. It's hard to believe. You got to pace yourself. You're 16. Even if you win ARCA racing, you can't even run the big tracks yet. So you've got plenty of time, my friend. But congratulations on the championship. Job well done, and best of luck the rest of the season. And then enjoy your off season. Go celebrate a little bit.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I just can't thank everybody that's got me to this point. All construction, Carter Cat, Drew got to be there this weekend, which is really cool to have him
Nice.
there, and all the cat and all construction guys, A&J Excavating, Cobra Mining. My parents, the good Lord, for keeping me safe this year. He's done everything and put me in this position. I just can't thank Michael Shelton, Cody Roball, and Timmy Fedola, my spotter Lucas Leone, Grant and Finger, everybody that's helped me get to this point and helped me accomplish that learning curve a little bit faster.
It takes a village, that's for sure. But congratulations, Isaac. Isaac Kitzmiller, your 2025 ARCA Menard Series East champion of the season, joining us here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Appreciate your time. Isaac, coming up next on Coast to Coast, a lot more. We've got a lot of news, including really a title fight going down to the wire in the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series National Championship, plus your schedule for short track racing. That's all next here on NASCAR Coast to Coast.
3, 2, 1, start your engine!
The NASCAR channel is streaming now, exclusively on Tubi.
Tell them we got it!
Go deeper into NASCAR with 24/7 news, documentaries, and explore the vault of timeless NASCAR stories and unforgettable races. From crushing defeats to the thrill of victory.
Go, baby!
The NASCAR channel, always on, always free. Only on Tubi.
Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast here on the Motor Racing Network. Appreciate Isaac Kitzmiller for joining us. And again, congratulations on the ARCA East Championship. But he's not done, as he said. A lot of late model racing still to come. And of course, the Snowflake, the lead into the Snowball Derby down there in Pensacola coming up in December. So still a little bit of ways away from that, but certainly a lot of racing still to go for that young man. Speaking of the ARCA East Championship, we heard from our champion. Well, he got it done courtesy of an 8th place finish, but it was all Brent Cruz at Bristol Motor Speedway on Thursday, kicking off a busy weekend that got the win in the Bush's Best 200, giving Joe Gibbs Racing, speaking of titles, its 3rd straight ARCA East Owners Championship and 4th in the last 5 years. So Brent Cruz racking in some hardware for not only himself, but for Joe Gibbs Racing. As again, Isaac Kitzmiller was awarded the championship. Tristan McKee got a well-deserved 2nd place finish. And Brendan Butterbean Queen doing what he needed to do. His first trip at Bristol, again, was a part of a doubleheader weekend because he ran the Xfinity Series race later that weekend. Got a top 5 finish. He was sideways in the second half of the race, had a tire going down, able to rally for a good finish, and he walks away with a 50-point lead here with just a couple of races left in their season. Leland Honeyman, a good story there. He's going to take over that 25 machine at Venturini Motorsports Camp for the rest of the season. Got a 4th place finish in his debut. We'll see what he does for the rest of the season. But again, the ARCA Menard Series Championship starting to wind down on their season. Coming up is Salem Speedway this weekend for the Ford Dealers 200 Saturday at 8 o'clock on FS2. Speaking of ARCA, the ARCA West Championship continues to roll on. They've got a handful of races left in their season. Most recently, All-American Speedway this past Saturday night. Late start time for those of us on the East Coast, but it was a Robbie Keneally win that was one to remember, an emotional win for Robbie, who at this race weekend a year ago suddenly lost his father, Gary, due to a heart attack. It was an emotional win this past weekend as he dedicated the win to his father. Tears in victory lane, a much deserved win for Robbie, getting his first West Series win of his career. And boy, what a scene in victory lane. And it's been a great run for his team because the Jan Quackenbush's team now has won 2 of the last 3 races, with Kyle Keller getting the win at Tri-City a couple of weeks ago. So congratulations to Robbie Keneally, certainly a well-deserved win. And in the points championship, Trevor Huddleston now holds the lead by 12 points over Kyle Keller as they go to Madera Speedway in 2 weeks' time, September 27th. You can see that race on Flow Racing. The ZMAX Cars Tour presented the Autos by Nelson race at South Boston Speedway. We heard that Isaac Kitzmiller made the trek down there for the Pro Late Model race, but it was Caden Honeycutt, Truck Series regular, getting his first win of the season in the late model stock, beating fellow Texan Connor Jones in a really exciting finish. About a half car length was the finish at the end of a 2-lap shootout between those two. First win for Caden Honeycutt in the late model stock in some 3 years, last getting a win October of 2022. And of course, Caden was the Pro Late Model champion last year in the Cars Tour before going full-time Truck Series racing. He's, of course, in the midst of a playoff run as well. Landon Lewis, speaking of championships, almost saw his bid for a late model stock title go up in smoke. He had a potential flat tire, pitted out of sequence, was mired well back in the field, somehow got through the carnage there late in the race, and secured a 4th-place finish to retain the points lead, just 18 points over Connor Hall, who had issues as well. He was caught up in that late race wreck and hit the outside wall in turn number 1. So some drama building for the late model stock championship with just 2 races to go. Coming up next is Tri-County Speedway on October the 4th. Now on the Pro Late Model side of things, Keelan Harvick doing Keelan Harvick things, winning 2 in a row and his 3rd Pro Late Model race win of the season. For that group, the KHI group, and Ben Mayer continues to hold that points lead with 34 over Keelan, who has vaulted now to 2nd. Remember, Keelan didn't run the full season, but his back half of the season success has vaulted him to 2nd in the championship. And who knows, you have a good weekend at Tri-County, you may set up a title fight for both championships at North Wilkesboro Speedway later in October. Some other winners over the weekend that you may have missed. Truck Series regular Dawson Sutton got the big trophy in the ASA Stars National Super Late Model Series at the Glass City 200 for those super late models in Toledo. He held off points leader Cole Butcher, who, of course, was fresh off his Truck Series debut at Bristol a couple of nights prior. Ryan Newman, the Rocket Man, won the Flying VA Classic for the Smart Modified Tour, the final regular season race for that series. Vaulted Ryan to the number 2 seed in the playoffs. Remember, the Smart Tour does a playoff format with the top 5 drivers in points will vie over the next couple of races for the championship. So Ryan Newman punched his playoff ticket with a win, his 2nd of the season. Michael Christopher Jr., speaking of modifieds, getting the win at Stafford in the TC13, setting himself up with a lot of momentum coming into this weekend. Remember, he's making his Truck Series debut for Hallmark Friesen in the 62 truck at the Magic Mile in New Hampshire this weekend. Gabe Brown, the reigning ACT champion, the American Canadian Tour champion, scored his 3rd win of the season in the 47th Annual Fall Foliage 200 at White Mountain. By the way, it was his 23rd birthday, so what a birthday present for Gabe Brown. And a shout out to DJ Kennington, a thriller in the NASCAR Canada Series penultimate event at Delaware Speedway. Now 2nd in the championship with this win, setting up a title fight between him and Antoine Camarand. And it's going to be a really strong race coming up at Montgomery coming up this weekend. But certainly congratulations to DJ. And a shout out to Ryan Vargas, one of our NASCAR brethren who's made his home this season over in the NASCAR Canada Series. Ended his season. He's not running the finale, but he ended his season this past week with a top 5 finish. So a valiant first season for Ryan Vargas over there north of the border. Some news and notes you also may have missed. Speaking of drivers making debuts this weekend, Patrick Emmerling is going to run in the Spire truck in the 7 machine this weekend at New Hampshire. Lainey Bice is set to make her debut in the Trans Am TA2 class. Remember, we had Lainey on talking about her venture with Rev Racing in the ARCA Menard Series. She is going to run a TA2 Trans Am car on the road course at VIR this weekend. And, of course, the news as the ARCA schedule gets rolled out for next year, ARCA returning to Chicagoland and Pocono. So really good races there in 2026 to keep the tabs on. Obviously, we will continue to roll that out once it gets announced. Now, the big news, the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly National Championship is down to the wire. We are about a week away from finding out who's going to be our national champion. Typically gets announced toward the end of September. And as of this past weekend's races going into it, we are deadlock tie between Chase Johnson out of Midlothian, Virginia, with 15 wins on the season. A lot of races done at Dominion. He's tied atop the championship points lead with Jacob Gady out of Carver, Minnesota, who's got 9 wins, but more top 5s and top 10s on the season. So again, a showdown going to this final week of the season as we'll kind of wait and see when the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series announces their champion. Still in the points hunt, David Hebert out of Quebec with 6 wins on the season is 14 points back. And there are 2 modified drivers from North Carolina, who typically run at Bowman Gray Stadium, as well as the Smart Tour, Brandon Ward and Tim Brown, both 26 and 28 points back. So all the top 5 still mathematically eligible, although it is shaping up to be a mano-a-mano fight between Chase Johnson and Jacob Gady. So, of course, when that gets announced, we will let you know and have our national champion on the show coming up. It's certainly going to be an exciting run to the finish. This weekend, a lot of short track racing as we hit the midway point of the month of September. Salem Speedway hosting the ARCA Menard Series. I'm not even going to try to say it's Kentuckiana 4 Dealers 200 Saturday night on FS2, the 111th series race at Salem, the High Banks. It is fast, 33 degrees of banking. And of course, this is also one of the longest tenured tracks for the ARCA Menard Series. Max Reeves coming in, 5 victories between the National Series and ARCA East. He'll be, of course, the favorite going in. Venturini's driver lineup has shifted a little bit. Of course, Leland Honeyman doing full-time for the rest of the season in the 25, Isabella Robusto. Also, welcome back to 2014 champion Mason Mitchell aboard one of the ARCA cars as well. And, of course, with the championship coming down to the wire with a couple of races left, Brendan Queen holds on to a 50-point advantage with 3 to go. So, of course, that's coming up Saturday night on FS2. NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, of course, we had the Eddie Partridge 250 get postponed to October. Their next race on the schedule coming up this weekend, the Mohegan Sun 100 in conjunction with NASCAR Weekend at the Magic Mile in New Hampshire. Coming up Saturday night, or Saturday morning, I should say, early start, 9:15 a.m. on Flow Racing to kick off NASCAR Weekend. This is the 13th to 16th races in the season, so we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here with Doug Coby making a return. One of the best to ever do it in the Modified Tour is coming back to race for the iconic Tommy Baldwin in the 7NY this weekend. Of course, Tommy's son, Luke, going to contend for the Smart Modified Tour Championship as he is the defending champion coming up this weekend, so the seat's open. Give it to Doug Coby. Why not? One of the legends is going to come back and race up there in New Hampshire. Justin Bonsignor, of course, has been the most recent winner. The last 2 times at New Hampshire is going to be considered the favorite going in. Craig Lutz, who's in the title fight as well, making his 150th tour start this weekend at New Hampshire. Of course, he has won 2 times this season. So a lot of storylines to focus on with an early start in the Mohegan Sun 100 at New Hampshire again on Saturday morning. Austin Beers in the title chase leads Justin by 17 points here with just a couple of races left to go. Some other events coming up on your calendar you might want to pay attention to. Of course, I mentioned earlier the NASCAR Canada Series season finale at Montgomery on Sunday. Antoine Cameron leading DJ Kennington by 14 points. That is going to be a winner-take-all scenario coming up this weekend on Saturday. The Smart Modified Tour playoffs begin at Franklin County Speedway with Luke Baldwin entering as the number 1 seed and the defending champion. He's a 3-time winner this year. Ryan Newman, our most recent winner and a 2-time winner this year. He's the number 2 seed. Paulie Hartwig II, a 14-year-old, is in the playoffs. He's the number 3 seed with Joey Coulter and Jake Crum, your 4th and 5th seeds going into this first round of the playoffs. The past super late models, Pro All-Star Super Series, coming up at White Mountain Speedway. It's also championship night number 1 at Five Flags Speedway. So wrapping up the Five Flags Speedway Championship Series, they'll have championship night number 2 next week for the rest of their local series. And then, of course, tonight, as we record this on Thursday, it is championship night at Thunder Road in Barre, Vermont. So we will start awarding track championships as we again hit the end of the season for a lot of our local short tracks. Special congratulations, speaking of, to our Hickory Motor Speedway champions that were crowned last weekend. Michael Bumgardner winning in the late model stock division, and then Aiden King won not only the limited late model full season championship, but the Big Ten title as well for those special events. So congratulations to them. MRN is off this weekend. We'll be back next week at Kansas Motor Speedway, which means plenty of short track racing to get to pay attention to. We hope you enjoy that as well and visit your local short track if you get the chance to. For our special guest this week, Isaac Kitzmiller, our producer, Pat Jaggers. My name is Chris Wilner. Thank you for tuning in to NASCAR Coast to Coast here on MRN, and we'll see you next week.